What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Jungle Jim's podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Jungle Jim's podcast. I'm here. I'm back. I'm your host, Mark. I didn't go anywhere. It was all a ruse. I don't know how to take time off. Welcome to the show. I've got a fun one this week. We're hanging out with Northern Yankee Moonshine, baby. Doug, the master distiller himself. I'm actually really excited about this because I've been playing, for whatever reason, I reinstalled Red Dead Redemption 2, which means that I was going back to live the life of a shiner in the 1800s in a fictional world right at the turn of the century. It was great. And since most of my moonshining information came from that, I was like, I gotta ask this guy to actually teach me about it for real. But the great news is that the big part of this is that Doug is going to be here at the Eastgate location of Jungle Jim's on Friday, September 1st from 5 to 7 p.m. They're going to be doing bottle signings, so you can get a bottle signed just like mine right here. Bottle signings, tastings, they've got the still out there, so you can check that out. Doug's really cool. That should be a lot of fun, so come on out to Eastgate. I'll be hanging out there for a little bit too. You can say hi to me if you'd like to do that, or you don't have to say anything. We can just do that weird thing where people just stare at you for a while, then eventually they might say something to you after you passed each other in the bathroom at the AMC Newport on the Levee this weekend. It happened. On store notes, so I wanted to bring this up before we dive into the interview. We've got a couple things going on right now. I know I mentioned International Wine Festival tickets are on sale now. I had a great time last year. You should come hang out with us, and you'll be able to see some footage from last year's show coming up here soon to promote the event. That should be a lot of fun. And also for the month of September, we're doing a little charity action at the checkout, so you can round up to bring clean water and wells over to Africa. Now, I'm going to have more details on that in the future, especially as it starts off, but I wanted to let you know that that'll be an option starting just shortly after this episode airs. It's done with someone who's affiliated with our company. I believe he's technically a former co-worker. Not exactly sure, George, what your role was here, but I know he was a long-time Jungle Jim's, part of the Jungle Jim's family. Let's put it that way. That's very easy. And George is doing something really incredible overseas right now. And yeah, we wanted to be a part of that and contribute. And if you'd like to be a part of that and contribute too, it's really easy. You can just round up at the register when you check out. So good stuff. Okay, on that note, let's get to the still time because you know what? I've been staring at this bottle. I'd like to take a sip. I think the best way to do that if I just have Doug lead me through it. What do you say? Hey, Doug.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Oh my gosh. Well, for everyone that maybe didn't listen to my lead-in that I'll tape in the future, introduce yourself.
My name's Doug Taylor. I was actually on the show Moonshiners, Master Distillers. Actually, the first guy to win the title Master Distiller here in Ohio.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Where are the winners usually from?
All over the state. Yeah.
Okay. And so this is one of those things I've been so curious about from the jump, where I was just like, well, you know, I joked earlier about running into you at Coney Island when you had the whole still set up, and I was like, this is very cool. And then finding out that you guys were coming into the store, I was like, what an amazing, it's a great opportunity. Look, and anytime anybody wants to bring moonshine, I'll say this for the audience, anytime you want to bring moonshine into my office, I know a great place to store it. It's somewhere around here. Tell me a little bit, what was your journey like becoming a master distiller?
Well, it was kind of funny. A friend of mine was on the very first episode.
Yeah.
So he had posted out that they were looking for people for season 1. So you had to fill out an email. Well, he told me, he goes, you got to make yourself stand out a little different than everybody else. Well, at that time, I was working for a motorcycle magazine.
Oh, cool.
And I arrived with one of the local MCs. So I played the motorcycle stuff up real well.
Of course, that's awesome.
So they called me, and they called pretty much everybody. And they talk to you a little bit, and if there's an interest, then they want to do a Skype interview.
Sure.
Then they want you to do like a home video and send in to them. And then they call you back and let you know what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
So they had called me back in November of that year and said, can you be in Gatlinburg? And I said, well, yeah, I can. Well, then I didn't hear back from them. I said, oh, well, I guess they didn't want me.
Right.
Well, I seen them posting for season 2, and just about the time I was getting ready to send them an email, they called me and said, hey, we want you for season 2. And I was talking with the producer. I said, well, I thought I was going to be on season 1. He said, well, if this guy wouldn't have made it, you were next in line.
Cool.
So that's how I ended up getting picked. And then when I was talking to him, come to find out, I was picked out over 30,000 people.
That's crazy.
They had over that many entries into the show.
Well, first off, congratulations, truly. That's amazing.
Well, thank you.
What a cool experience, too, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah.
So along those lines, like, how long have you been doing this? Like, prior to the show, I guess.
Yeah. Well, prior to the show, probably about 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, when I was a little boy, I used to hang out with my great uncle down in Kentucky.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that kind of did it.
Sure.
But a lot of people don't realize how many Moonshiners actually was in Ohio. You know,
Really?
a lot of Moonshiners in Ohio. We had actually on my episode, there was 4 of us from Ohio.
No kidding.
I won Master Distiller, and my friend Sean Rigsby from up in Springdale, or Springfield, he won Master Distiller also.
Oh, no kidding. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then most of the other guys came in runners-up.
That's awesome.
You know,
it's one of those things I didn't expect about it. I was like, I live in Kentucky, so I was like, I felt like that's like a thing that we would do very well as a state. I am partly not surprised, though. I mean, there's a lot of space in Ohio. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things going on in all realms, both like alcohol-related, food-related, all of that stuff. A lot of things that you just don't think about here. I feel like we're always like, Ohio is like jokes about leaving Ohio and maybe astronauts. You know what I mean? But I would rather do the drinking. Well, maybe I do drinking space too. That sounds fun. Yeah. So you started pretty young doing this, and then just was it just like a hobby, and then you're like, oh, I'm actually really good at this?
Well, I actually ended up retiring in 2012. I was a mechanic for 40 years.
Oh, okay.
And so when I got retired, I got bored, and so I figured, well, you know what, I'm gonna mess around with this.
Yeah.
And I started messing around with it and started talking, run into a guy. I was actually covering an event for the magazine right up here at Queen City Harley.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a combat vet ride.
Oh, cool.
And there was a guy sitting there, and he had a still set up on the table. He had some jars of moonshine. Went over and started talking to him, and we talked probably for an hour, maybe 2 hours, become real good friends, and come to find out, his name was James Hatfield. He was one of the original Hatfield McCoys.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's like you didn't think you'd run into like, I mean, that's a legendary family.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So he had invited me down to Maggie Valley, North Carolina. They have a thing called the Hillbilly Jam down there.
Okay.
Where a lot of the guys from the TV show actually come down to there, and they set up booths and sign autographs and do pictures and stuff. Well, I was doing pictures of a trike for him. And that was actually the first time I got to meet Mark and Digger.
Okay.
They were there, and I was taking pictures and stuff of them. So and I got to just meet them, say hi to them, stuff like that. Never thought I was going to be on the show. Never had any idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's like that's kind of magic how that works,
Yes,
right? You're like,
is.
yeah, I'm just going to do cool stuff, and then eventually, you know what? It's really funny. And every interview, I always have like some of those moments where we're all kind of the same in that regard. And I kind of feel like my career has gone a similar way, where it's like I just kept showing up at things, and I had an interest, and I was good at a few of them, and now I host a talk show in a grocery store, right?
Yep. There you go. Yeah.
It's an incredible life. I just got to start from the top. And for everybody watching, you can tell I'm invested in this because I wrote a ton of notes, and so I promise I'm not just texting you. It's questions. But I mean, explain it like I'm 5. Can you walk me through the process? Like, how does it start? How does it get into the bottle ultimately?
Well, first thing you get your grains. Like all of our grains come right here out of Ohio.
Okay.
So you would take your grains, just like corn. You take corn, sugar, and yeast and water, and you have to wait and let it ferment.
Okay.
Usually it take maybe 7-10 days for it to ferment.
Sure.
And then you would take all the fluid off of the grain, put it into the still, and then once that still starts heating up to about 173 degrees, the alcohol actually starts steaming out of the water.
Oh, interesting.
So as it steams out, it travels on through the pipes.
Okay.
And the centerpiece, they call it a thumper. Some of them use it, some of them don't. What the thumper will do, you can actually put flavors in it, or you can just leave it alone, and what it'll do, it'll actually take water out of your alcohol.
Wild. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then as the steam travels on through, it goes through into a condenser, which is a big container, and it's got tubing that goes in a circle all the way around. And and you keep cold water in that, so as soon as that steam starts hitting them pipes, that cold water on them pipes, it starts changing back from steam to a liquid.
That's really cool.
And
that makes perfect sense.
You go.
Oh my gosh, and that's dripping out. Well, and I keep thinking back, and I'm sure at this point I'll get some photos and we can put up over there. That way everybody can watch along too. If you're watching the YouTube version of the show, if you're listening, you just have to accept our descriptions. But I thought that was so cool with your setup and watching it. And again, it was one of those things where, look, this is such a, I think in America, it's like such a romanticized process that to me, I'm sitting here going like, oh, all of my exposure to this has really either been through like fictional TV TV, or what was the game I was playing? Red Dead Redemption, where they had like a whole moonshining aspect to it. I was like, this is very cool. I doubt it's very accurate. I've never lassoed anybody in real life, but that was one of the things I was going to ask. Are there like certain misconceptions that you find about like distilling, making moonshine that are out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to be careful on some of the things that people do say.
Yeah.
Right now on Facebook, there's all kinds of moonshine groups, different things like that. And sometimes you got to watch some of the answers. Like I said, there's people doing it all over.
Right.
Like I said, 30,000 for me. My buddy was just on season 5. And because I helped him, he is asking, hey, I'm going to apply for the show. Well, he's a volunteer fireman. John Benz, he lives up here in Ohio, too.
Awesome.
And I told him, play up your fireman. And he did. He actually got picked to be on a firefighter episode.
That sounds awesome.
And he said they had over 50,000 entries for season 5.
That's crazy. I'm sure it's going to keep exponentially growing every season, too.
Yeah.
Because I know the show's doing really well, too.
It does real well.
This is one of the interviews when I started telling my friends and everybody, I was like, you know what I'm doing today? And they're like, oh, well, we hate that you get to drink on the clock. And I was like, well, it's sampling. Okay, I'm tasting. I'm keeping it under control. But, I had no idea how much interest there was in this world until I started seeing stuff about you all coming to do the sampling and the bottle signing. So that's going to be exciting. So I guess maybe this is a good time for me to plug that too. Jungle Jim, September 1st, Eastgate store. Everyone loves Eastgate. You write me about it all the time, and you're mad that I'm here at Fairfield. Well, don't be mad. But instead, come meet us over there, and we can get some bottles going on here too. So we talked about... You talked about adding certain flavors. What's like your R&D process like? What because for example, obviously we've got like I'm assuming the first one here, the American Rebel, that's like plain for lack of a better term, right? But I see the peach versions as well. So like, how does that come about? Like how are you picking your flavors, that kind of thing?
Well, the peach, actually the peach right here, the Shiners Honey Peach is actually what I won the TV show with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
We're still waiting. So we're winning the show. We're waiting for them to produce our stuff in Gatlinburg.
Oh.
Which they just did 2 of the guys. They're supposed to be doing 2 of us at a time. So 2 of them have already got their stuff down in Gatlinburg.
Sure.
Sean Rigsby, and then one of the guys, Daryl. He was on a high proof, and then Sean was on the vodka episode.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for ours to come up sometime this year, hopefully.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So they'll be carrying it down there as well?
For a limited run. For winning the show, you get a 750-gallon run.
Oh, that's super cool.
And they bottle it up, have our face on the bottles and everything.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Oh my gosh. So like, when you were doing this, were you just excited? Were you like, hey, peach sounds like a winner? Or are you just a peach fan?
Well,
you know what I mean?
The episode I was picked for was a peach brandy episode.
Oh,
yeah. So
they
pick you for different episodes, whatever. Yeah, so they picked me for the peach.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, so in your personal process, are there other flavors you've ever worked with, or other ones? Maybe there's something. Is this my Jungle Jim's exclusive? What's down the pipeline?
Well, I've used peaches and honey. I've used different corns. We have a place. The American Rebel Barrel Moonshine. The grains come from up here in Ohio. It's called Schoolhouse Farms, 1862. They grow the old grains. Cool. Like bloody butcher corn, white hickory, blue corn. These are from like the 1800s.
I was going to ask you about the traditions of that. That's so cool. No, please. Yeah.
So he's actually, it took him about 4 or 5 years to get enough seeds to make his crops. But now he's doing real well with it. He's got all kinds of this corn up there.
Yeah.
He does sunflowers, all kinds of stuff. So the American Rebel was actually made from that. The American Rebel, a buddy of ours band is actually called American Rebels.
That's awesome.
And they were a big supporter of us when we first started.
Sure.
So we kind of surprised them. The American flag is that's their logo.
Yeah.
And the grains is bloody butcher corn, white hickory, and blue corn. So red, white, and blue.
Perfect.
So we use that and really surprised them.
Yeah,
they were tickled half to death. And then we sent our products off to the spirit competition, and that one actually won second place in the national spirit competition.
That's incredible! Yeah. Congratulations!
No, thank
That's
you.
so cool.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, and I always had these funny moments where I was like, because it's not a world I'm deeply entrenched in, I'm always like, oh, wow, they have like these national competitions. I'm like, yeah, of course they do. They have that for like any vested product or hobby or any interest. Of course, there's like something for everything. Right. How crazy did those get? I mean, like, are you guys, I'm assuming there's a good amount of sampling that goes on at those?
Oh, at them, we're not actually there. We actually, the one, we actually took it over to Oxford. There was a guy that lives over there that does this. They do it. He's got a big barn that sets up. He has college people come in.
Yeah.
They do this, and then they send it off to New York, and they do it up there. So they do it a couple different to judge all this stuff. And I mean, it's from all over the United States, Canada, and everywhere. People sends in stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's been interesting to me because like moonshining has always seemed like this sort of underground secret practice, right? You know, and I joke that I've lived in Kentucky just long enough to be like, you hear stories every so often, right? So what's it been like? Has like exposure changed this? Because obviously it's gone from something that was like, we don't talk about the moonshining we're doing too. Hi, I'm on the Discovery Channel right now. Like, has that affected your perspective on the business or even just sharing this with people?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys that do it out there on the side.
Yeah.
After being on the show, kind of puts a target on your back.
Sure.
You know, because you're telling everybody, hey, this is where I live and this is what I'm doing illegally. Sure. You know. So, I mean, after the show, people wanted my stuff.
Yeah.
So we were kind of scared. So, hey, we might. So we ended up going ahead and opened a small craft distillery.
That makes perfect sense. So, I mean, and that's like, that's really what it takes to go from being like this underground thing to legit, right? Okay. Yeah. That's cool. And I was always kind of curious about that. And in a weird way, I'm sort of surprised I haven't seen more of these craft distilleries popping up in that regard because, again, it seems like that's a big market right now. People seem really excited about it.
Well, I mean, there are some, actually one of the guys that was on season 1, he opened one called Flat Rock Distilling up in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And he was on season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then actually one of the other guys that I was talking to, his stuff just got released, Daryl.
Yeah.
We helped him, giving him information. He just opened up one in Florida. So a lot of the guys from the show are trying to open up little craft distilleries and everything like that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. What a cool idea. That's so cool. Do you have any advice for somebody that's interested in starting doing something like this? And by the way, speak freely. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no censoring on the show, so get wild with me. Like, you know, would it be something that you would, if somebody had an interest in this, like, you know, what would you tell them to do?
Come to my class.
Oh, pitch the class. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, we've been doing. We've done 2 beginner classes.
Okay,
and they've been full.
That's
we're actually probably getting ready to do another one here in September.
Okay.
And then we're going to do an advanced one here probably in October, where actually the guys will come in, let them grind their corn and stuff, actually make their own mash and stuff.
That's amazing.
And then come back and we'll run it.
That is so cool. So, you know, I know you said it was like probably like 7 to 10 days on like waiting for the process. So what's like the full run time on something like this from start to finish? Is it like 2 weeks? Or, you know?
Well, once it's fermented, then you put it in the still.
Yeah.
Just depends on how much you run.
Oh, okay.
You could be running anywhere like, I'll say 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, no kidding. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're talking, that's quick.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed a little bit, but at the same time, I'm doing all of my questions. I'm like, I joke all the time on the show. I'm like, I am saying it's for the audience out there that wants to learn, but the real secret is that I'm kind of an idiot, and whatever it takes for me to learn about this. A weird thought I kept having was, are there, not weird necessarily, but like, are there any like safety measures that you have to really dive in on a deep side for this?
Well,
you know?
Yeah, I mean, there is. I mean, when you're dealing with the vapors from the alcohol, and if you're using an open flame,
right,
you have to be careful there's no leaks.
I didn't even think about that,
Yeah, I mean, they'll actually, I mean, if that hits a flame, I mean, boom, it'll explode. And a lot of them have done that before.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any particularally memorable, have you ever had any particular, it's children excited about the moonshine, apparently. I was like, oh, it's a weird day. It's the best part of doing the show in the fishbowl. Have you had any particularly memorable moments creating your product before?
No, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had, and I use electric,
Sure.
so it's a lot safer.
That makes sense.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, is there really any benefit to doing the open, like an open fire versus like aesthetic and it's kind of cool?
Some people like the fire.
Yeah.
You know, I know guys that use flame, and you know, I know a lot of guys that use electric. So it's whatever your preference is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's sort of, yeah, and that makes sense too. And it was always one of those where I was thinking about it. I was like, would the wood impart like a little extra flavor maybe? But it doesn't seem like it would really.
Just heating it up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, well, it really
a lot
doesn't
of times
matter.
the fire will probably heat it up a little faster than the electric will.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at that point, I'm like, we're splitting hairs. Do you have a favorite part of the distillation process? You know? For me, I think it would be watching the vapor travel through the tube. Personally, that's just where I'm 7 years old, it turns out, you know?
I mean, you're hooked. Once you see it coming out of the spout at the end, Yeah, you're hooked.
Yeah, that sounds
you're
awesome.
Hooked. I mean, you can walk over, taste it, different things, because there's different parts of you want to keep, and different, like the first part, the head, you want to throw it away.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we keep it and we use it for fire starters.
Oh,
or
cool.
cleaning.
And so, and what's the why behind that? Like,
just because of the methanol and stuff that's in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's where they say, if you drink too much of it, it'll make you go blind and all that.
Yeah, it's like only if you're starting it off that. Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time, it'll give you a bad headache or something like that.
Sure.
But most of the time, back in the day, that's where people ran it through old radiators, lead radiators.
Oh,
and they picked all the lead up and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, they did some crazy things back
I'm sure.
in the day.
Well, it's like like any other industry that was like, it's funny now because like, I'm even just thinking in the last like 20 years of my life where like so many rules and people have kind of lightened up on like, on fun things, right? Like, I feel like this is an area where that's been a thing, for example. And it's funny to see how lax it's gotten because, I'm thinking about how it was. Again, you mentioned things like, we're going to run it through this lead pipe. Yeah. And it was because it was like, well, we don't have another option. But now it's like, okay, I could probably buy some of these parts on Amazon now, right? Comparatively. You know what I mean?
There's still builders all over the place.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, they sell out to people.
Yeah.
The gentleman like I got mine from, actually, he does them for the TV show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's called Thunder Road Copper.
Yeah.
Kevin Gordon. And he built me a 110-gallon copper still.
Yeah. And
what was funny when I went to pick it up was he was doing something for Mark and Digger.
Yeah.
Mark and Digger has Popcorn Sutton's original patterns. Popcorn was one of the old Moonshiners.
Okay.
And so
I was about to ask. I was like, I love
everybody knows Popcorn if they watch the show.
He's got a great name. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was doing something for them. When I went to pick my still up, he handed me his piece of metal. I said, that's a pattern. He goes, yeah. He said, that's Popcorn's original pattern. Whoa. He says, I made your top cap off that pattern.
That's so cool.
So it's got a little history behind the still.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's such a I mean, there's obviously like a lot of history tied into this too. I mean, with it, even going back to using like literally ancient grains in this regard to like, that's wild to me. And I imagine, well, it's something I was trying to figure out how to ask it exactly, but like the modernization, right? Like, because I'm assuming some people probably aren't growing grains from the 1800s to do it, right? Do you see, I mean, that I assume has to dramatically affect the product and the end result, right?
It makes a big different taste because the older grains was actually more sweeter.
Oh.
So it makes a different taste and stuff. So you'll get to try that here in a little bit.
I'm excited about that too. I just had a note kind of along those lines. Have you ever taken like an unconventional swing at this and gotten an interesting result out of it?
Oh yeah.
Any come to mind? That you're allowed to talk about?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, just putting different things together. You try different things. Actually, I have a barrel that's been setting for a couple years that I just took everything I had at one time and just dumped it in the barrel.
Oh, I love that.
So I haven't tried it. It's been setting for over 2 years now.
Oh, my gosh.
So
just aging nice and slow.
Aging away.
That's actually really cool. Oh, that'll be a curious one. Yeah. How long do you think you'll let it age?
Probably not too much longer. I want to at least pop it open and see what it is.
Yeah, right. A little, what do they call it? Gangster gumbo, the King's Cup. You're like, I'll just try a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Go buffet style. Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, at that point, I feel like I got to dive in at this point. Is it time to taste?
Yeah, sure.
I think I should sip it out of the shot.
You want to sip it out there?
Of course, why not? Look, it might be hard to show on camera. I'll try and get a good insert shot for you, but the logo is awesome, and it's got a picture of the still on it. I'll get a close-up. Don't be mad at me for this. So, yeah, where should we start?
Well, this is what I won the show with.
Okay, well,
okay,
I
this is
I'll
honey
let you
peach.
light me up. Thank you so much.
Oh no.
And so, silly little questions. What are they, like 100 proof-ish, something?
Yeah, it's 100 proof.
Okay.
Yeah, it's made with peaches and real honey.
Oh yeah, you can really get that sweet note off the smell.
Yeah, now that's a distilled, so a lot of people taste the peach first, and then the honey at the end, or it'll be the other way around.
Can you tell I've been hanging out with the wine guys lately? Here. It's like, how obnoxious can I look on camera? Here we go. Oh, that's smooth. And okay, full disclosure, I've never tried moonshine before today.
Well, it's actually really considered a brandy because it's made with peach. Anything made with grains would be a moonshine.
Okay.
Anything with any kind of like fruit, is
They'll consider it
actually
a brandy?
It's actually considered a brandy, but with the way the Federal is, when I added honey to it, we couldn't call it a brandy.
Oh,
because
interesting.
it had something else in. So that's why we ended up having to call it a moonshine.
Oh, that works for me though.
Yeah.
That is delicious.
Now I like sweet tea. I put that in my sweet tea.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can't even imagine how amazing that would be. That was great. Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, I get the honey on the back end for sure, and the peach is right up front. Yeah. You get that like smooth burn in the middle. Damn, that's good. Did you just ruin my life?
Oh, you ain't tasted the other one now.
No, I know. I'm ready. All right, well, let's go down the line.
Right. This one here is actually my golden honey peach.
Okay.
This is actually the same thing you just tasted, but we aged it on wood.
Oh, cool.
So the wood kind of mellows it out, and actually that's where you get your golden comer.
Thank you
from.
so much.
Actually, if you all bourbons, whiskeys, they all come out clear.
Yeah.
Everything's clear until you put it with the wood. Put it in a barrel or whatever. That's where it gets its color from.
I had no idea. That's amazing. Yeah. See? Where are you at, bourbon people? You've been on the show before. Nobody thought that this would be a thing to mention. We're over 100 episodes in. This one smells even better than the first one. I'm trying to pick up what's that actually. It might be the honey note again.
It's the wood.
In the wood too. Oh, that's
wood,
perfect.
The vanilla and stuff out of the wood and stuff.
So it smells awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good, and that lit me up a little bit better. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, and the vanilla note in the wood definitely comes through, and it's kind of nice to me because I don't tend to drink too many barrel aged things, and so when I get a good one, I get really excited about that because I'm like, oh, that's delicious. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the trick on this one, we actually didn't put this one in a barrel. We actually took little chunks of the barrel, and actually it's already toasted on the inside. They already burned the inside of the barrel,
right?
So part of it's already burnt. So what I do, I take and throw it on the grill, leave it on the grill for a couple hours.
I love it.
Then I'll put it in a bag and I'll put it in with this.
Yeah.
And then I actually put a circulating pump in, and let it circulate, and leave it for about 2 weeks.
Oh,
and that's
awesome.
that's how that comes out.
That seems like actually a really effective process too.
I mean, since we're a small craft distillery, we don't have all that extra money to take and barrel stuff up and leave it set for 4 years, 3 years, whatever.
You got to get innovative.
So
see, I love it, and this kind of comes back to our whole thing. It's like you're a pioneer, really. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, truly, it's a very interesting thing. That's so good. Damn. I mean it in the nicest way, but I think this is ruining my life. I had no idea. All right, well, we got to go. We got to go American Rebel finally, right?
This is American Rebel. Yeah, this is the one that's made with the grains from the 1800s.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Still get that sweet note. I really love how, I mean, that was a thing. I was not expecting it to come through as directly as it did, but you really do get that nice, like, little sweet note on all these. Oh, yeah. And that one's got a good punch at the front, too. So the real question I have is, how do you not just drink this all the time while you're making it, right? It's like, how patient are you?
Well, when you do it all the time, I mean, I taste it. Like I said, the first part we throw away or keep it for a fire starter or whatever.
Yeah, that's
then you
genius.
get the hearts, which is the really good part.
Okay.
And then once it starts getting down into the lower proof, it gets into what the tails, and the tails will come in with more of the oils and stuff out, and it gets a different taste to it. So you don't want to go too far in it, and then it can actually cause a bad taste in your alcohol.
Interesting. Yeah. Again, all those things that I just would have never even thought about. It's crazy to see. You kind of, honestly, Doug, you just like blew my mind for the last half an hour, and hopefully everyone out there watching there too. You mentioned that you're doing these classes. What would be a good way if somebody watches this and says, hey, I want to take one of those classes? What's a good way to do that?
Follow us on Facebook.
Okay.
Northern Yankee Moonshine.
Okay.
We post all the different things we do.
Yeah.
Because I'm still doing meet and greets and stuff.
Okay.
Different events from the show.
Yeah.
So we always post that, hey, we're going to be closed this weekend. We'll be either maybe in Tennessee, North Carolina, or we'll be in Ohio here doing something somewhere.
That's cool.
Yeah. So.
How's the meet and greet experience been for you? Because I imagine that's got to be a pretty dramatic shift in life where it went from like, I'm doing this at home versus now you're going to places. I mean, you're on the show, right?
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, whether you win or lose, just being picked to be on the show, you're a winner.
Right.
All the guys that's been on the show, they're a winner.
Right.
So, I mean, we go different places. People come up, I ask for autographs. I've been walking through Jungle Gyms in Eastgate, and people come up and say, hey, can I have your autograph?
That's so cool. I love that. That's amazing.
It does make you feel good.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's cool. It's like people are like excited for your success in a very positive way, too. That's so awesome.
And it's amazing how many people do watch the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big show.
Well, it's crazy. I don't know if I said it while we were recording or not, but I'll say it here just in case I didn't. But it was wild when I was working on doing this, and just anybody I talked to about, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." I'm like, they're like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we get good guests on the show. Come on now." But I had no idea truly how popular it'd become as far as just like the general public goes in the last few years. Because it's funny being on the inside of food. I feel like I'm constantly hearing a battle between people who are like more alcoholic content, more non-alcoholic content. And I'm always trying to balance it out to be like, well, what is it that you actually want?
Yeah.
I want both is really where I'm at. I was like, yeah, I'll have a little bit of both. I got a bottle of water under the table. It's fine. Okay, so follow you on Facebook for all the great updates. Obviously, I know we plugged September 1st, Eastgate store signing. Come buy some bottles, get your picture. Or you'll probably be cool with a picture.
We do pictures.
Yeah,
we usually we'll stand up at the still and get a picture with the still in the background.
That's so cool.
And as you walk in, I have all pictures where I've been doing meet and greets with all the guys from the TV show.
That's so cool.
Mark and Digger, Tim Smith. I mean, all of them are the greatest guys. The way you see them on TV or the way they are in real life.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, they're just down-home guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing something cool and want to share it with people.
Yeah.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a really refreshing thing, too, especially because every so often in the reality TV world, you're like, oh, this is not very reality at all.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. Okay, so we obviously have these three, I'll call them flavors. I mean, they are flavors, right? Are there other products in the line that we also carry?
Oh, yeah. You actually, we just got out my... the spice rum. It's actually my fiance Cheryl.
Oh.
She told me.
I just spoke with her today.
Yeah,
what a delight.
Yeah, she told me, she goes, you got to teach me how to make something in case you fall out. So she made a white rum.
Cool.
Then she took the white rum and actually added spices and aged it on wood.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Great
so
idea.
you got that one now.
Cool.
Then the other one you have is actually my family recipe, White Lightning. We bottle it at about 120 proof.
Ooh, baby. And so, but similar, but just a little spicier, as it were.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. A little extra proof. Never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I'm sure it hurt a few people, but it didn't hurt me.
Yeah. And we're still working on other stuff.
That's so cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm honestly, I think after this, my first step is I want to take one of those classes. I'm incredibly interested. And I know we joked about it before, but I'm like, yeah, I would love if you're cool with it sometime. I'd love to come out there and maybe we shoot a little thing there and put it on the show. I think people would be very interested in that. I know I would. I was very casually looking. That day at Coney Island, it was kind of a day drinking day for me, which doesn't happen frequently anyway. But I was like, oh, yeah, I'm just taking pictures and looking at it. But your setup looks so cool. And I just think it's really awesome what you're doing. And, of course, congratulations on all your success.
Well,
it's so cool. Thanks for making
Ohio
look cool. Take that, everybody writing mean memes on the internet. Awesome. Well, Doug, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I look forward to having you back. And, again, congratulations. We'll see you on the 1st.
That's great. Thank you for having us out.
Of course. Hey, Doug, thanks so much for coming out and educating me on this. We are very much looking forward to coming out to one of your classes. I think that's going to be fun. And of course, like I said early in the episode, hopefully I'll see all of you watching or listening to the show out there at the Eastgate Jungle Gyms Friday, September 1st for a little signing and photo opportunity. Get your selfie taken with it. Everybody wear their best overalls. That's the move, in my opinion. I'm going to have to go get some overalls. All right, on that, everyone, hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the show. Like, share, subscribe. Hit me with the 3 amigos. And on that, I'll see you out there in the aisles.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.